controlled thunder. Anakwe right to the rim, lays it in. Jonathan Anakwe with the first bucket of the game. And right away, it's St. James 2-0. It's Connor McCullough. Sam Keith quickly the other way. Brandon Rourke with the bucket to tie it up at 2. Scott Zitnick, Anakwe, McCullough, and Sam Keith. And for the Hawks, Shane Hooks, Brandon Rourke, Jawan Taylor, Harmon Ming, and Marquise Taff. Connor McCullough with a good touch underneath, and he's up and in. 4-2 St. James, 45 seconds in. Again, another game without Clint McCullough. As quickly the other way, that shot up by Jawan Wilson. Rebound by River. Scott on the sideline, but he's ruled out of bounds, and it will be inbounded for the Hawks. Just over a minute in, it's 4-2 St. James. I apologize, I was wrong on the starting lineup. It's senior Jawan Wilson, who is the 5th starter for the Hawks. This is Rourke. Free throw line jumper off the mark by Shane Hooks and rebounded by Connor McCullough. 4-2 Thunder in the early goings. Anakwe left wing guarded by Wilson. These two teams met last January with Harmon a 55-53 winner. Three-pointer short by Anakwe. He knew it was there. Tracked down his own rebound, but it's knocked away. And here comes Wilson the other way. Wilson pull-up left-handed jumper from 18 feet, rattles out. He hits the deck, but no call, and McCullough gets the rebound. Kind of slipped the ball slipped out of his hands on the pass and taken away by the Hawks. It's in Rourke's hands. 6'3" junior. Baseline drive now. Jawan Taylor left it off for Ming, and that's going to be a foul on the Thunder. So I'll correct myself on the starting lineups. It's Hooks, Taylor, Rourke, Ming, and Wilson. And this is number 15, Herman Ming at the line. Hits the first to make it 4-3. Again, these teams met in a close game last year at St. James, a 2-point win for Harmon. Second free throw down for Ming, and we're tied at 4 with 6:09 to play in the first quarter. Scott bringing it across the timeline, guarded by Jawan Taylor. Now it's in the hands of Zitnick, right wing, guarded by Hooks. Frankie spinning in the paint, tough shot, back iron, no good, but the rebound tapped back in by Connor McCullough. Second basket of the game for the freshman, 6'7" Connor McCullough. And it's 6-4, quickly the other way. Rourke leaves it behind underneath. Ming lays it around and in with the left hand. So a quick counter from the Hawks senior, ties it up at 6. Tonight's game, a makeup from a few weeks back when snow forced the cancellation, or postponement rather, of several games. Zitnick baseline swings, ends up in the hands of Sam Keith. Keith now finds Zitnick for an open left wing three. Wide right and rebounded by Brandon Rourke. In the front court, numbers. Up off the glass, no good from Jawan Wilson and rebounded by Anakwe. And now taken away in the backcourt. Pull-up jumper from Rourke. Instead he passes it. Up and under. Gets the roll, does Jawan Wilson. First lead of the game. 8-6 in favor of the Hawks. Anakwe, left wing, off of the screen. Little shove there as Herman Ming came out to switch on that screen. First substitution of the game as Tom Huppy checks in to replace Connor McCullough. Hawks enter tonight's game with a record of 12-5. Scott thought about a baseline three. Instead, drives, leaves it short, rebound on the deck. Foul called. And this was going to be against the Hawks as well. This one against junior Brandon Rourke. Second team foul. Scott inbound from the baseline. Anakwe with some space. A little too strong. And it's rebounded by Jawan Wilson. 4:25 to play in the first quarter. 8-6. Harmon with the lead. Baseline jumper well short by Rourke, rebounded by Sam Keith. And it'll be River Scott, who's picked up in the backcourt by Taylor, a 5'7" sophomore. And now it's in the hands of Anakwe. Anakwe emerging as a leading offensive threat. Right wing three for Huppy is pure. Tom Huppy with the three. And it's 9-8, St. James back on top. Hawks with the floor spread. It's in Rourke's hands now, guarded by Huppy. Leaves it on the wing, Wilson. Huppy's there to pick him up at the top of the circle, now off a screen. Keith shows. Now Wilson's going to take it all the way, and he lays it up. No roll. He gets it back in the paint. Looked like he may have shuffled his feet. Got away with it, though. Now he kicks it out to Rourke. Drives all the way in. Around Keith. Can't get the roll. Rebound, Sam Keith. Now he lofts it ahead to Scott. River Scott's going to go all the way. And he puts it in. River Scott's first two of the game. And it's 11-8. St. James' largest lead of the game with 3:10 to play in the first quarter. Defense by Zitnik to knock the ball away, but it ends up with the Hawks. Ming up close, lays it in. Herman Ming with 6 early points, and it's 11-10. Good pace to this game early on. Huppy in the corner. Finds Anakwe, who's got a moment to line up a three. He'll take it. No good. High rebound pulled down by Brandon Rourke. And the Hawks push, looking to regain the lead. Crossover into the paint. Had it knocked away by Anakwe. No call as he came back down. Crowd calling for either a travel or some sort of violation. But instead, Rourke was given another chance. The foul goes against Sam Keith. First foul against the Thunder, who lead 11-10. Rourke's free throw short. A couple of substitutions for the Hawks as Mike Carson, 6'6" sophomore, and Sheldon Carson, a 5'10" freshman, seeing their first action. Short again on the free throw is Rourke. Rebounded by the Thunder, who regained possession up by a point at the 2:30 mark of the first quarter, 11-10. High pass into McCullough, and he lays it in. Nice pass over the top of the defense by River Scott. And Connor McCullough has 6 points. Thunder lead 13-10. It's a tough pass by River Scott over the defense. Now River playing good defense the other way, and he's going to get called for a foul. Second team foul against the Thunder, who lead by 3, 13-10. Scott now to the bench. Sheldon Carson triggering the inbound finds Jawan Wilson. He calls for a screen. Zitnik goes through it easily. Hooks into the paint. Now dishes it out baseline. Ends up back near the top of the circle for Jawan Wilson. Under 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. 13-10. Thunder with the lead. Rourke, guarded by the longer McCullough, gets into the paint and then loses it. Now Anakwe. Anakwe pushing it up the floor. Has McCullough. No good. Off the glass. Good. Rebounded in traffic by Tom Huppy. Huppy thought about a difficult baseline shot there. Instead finds Zitnik. Now in the corner, McCullough. Tough pass underneath looking for Anakwe. It was knocked away, but it'll stay at this end of the floor with 1:32 to play in the quarter. 13-10, St. James on top. Huppy to trigger the inbound from the baseline. Has that one kicked by Shane Hooks. So Thunder on a bit of a winning streak, having won 4 in a row after losing 4 out of 5. So some momentum heading towards Sub-State here, even without the services of the Thunder's leading scorer, Clint McCullough, who's been sidelined for a couple of weeks due to a sprained ankle. Should be back and ready in time for Sub-State, we're told. Connor McCullough with a 3. Hits. Connor McCullough, right wing 3. Good. And the 6'7" freshman with 9 early points lead is 16-10. with just over a minute to play here in the first quarter. This is Rourke in the corner, guarded by McCullough, who's giving him some space. Now he leaves it to Shane Hooks, who will take a deep three over Huppy, and he hits. So Shane Hooks answers with his first bucket of the game and cuts the lead in half at 16-13 with 45 seconds to play in the quarter. Connor McCullough is going to try another one from the corner, but it was partially deflected. But now on the save, it ends up in Devin Feist's hands. Sounded like you could hear him get hacked on the way up, but no call, and the rebound goes the other way. As Carson pushes it across the timeline, now leaves it to Juwan Wilson. So it looked like Feist was going to have an easy shot up close, but it was deflected, maybe with a little bit of flesh there too. Juwan Wilson near the timeline is going to hold it against his hip as we go under 10 seconds to play in the first quarter. St. James 16, Harmon 13. Rourke, 5 seconds in the corner. Carson fakes, now leaves it for his, the dunk is missed by Mike Carson, but they're going to call a foul on Anakwe, who doesn't like it. Good move by the freshman Sheldon Carson to leave it behind to Mike Carson, relation unknown. And the big fella trying to flush it down, hit it off the back iron, but bailed out with the foul called on Jonathan Anakwe. Third team foul on the Thunder. Free throw, back iron, no good, as Mitch Whitman and Zach Colress check in for the Thunder for the final 0.3 of a second. As Anakwe and Feist take a seat. Carson take a deep breath here before his second free throw, which could cut this to a 2-point game after one. He does just that, and that's how the first quarter comes to an end. After 8 minutes of play, it's St. James 16, Harmon 14. You're watching St. James Thunder basketball on KCTeams.com. Back at J.C. Harmon High School after one quarter of play, it's St. James Academy 16, Harmon 14. Nice first quarter for freshman Connor McCullough, who's been inconsistent throughout the year, but has accounted for 9 of St. James' 16 points. The lead has been as big as 6 at 16-10 following the McCullough 3. Last 4 of the quarter went to the Hawks, and now the home team with possession here to start the second quarter. Juwan Wilson, Rourke, Ming, Mike Carson, and Shane Hooks for the Hawks. This is Rourke, now right wing. Hooks, he's hit a 3 early, drives the paint this time, finger roll over the top, no good, rebounded by Carson, and he lays it in. Mike Carson with his first bucket. He's got 3 after a free throw at the end of the first quarter, and that gives us our third tie of the game. 16 all, 30 seconds rather into the second quarter. McCullough top of the circle, Tom Huppy guarded by Wilson. Whitman thought he had low post position but didn't get the ball. And now it's McCullough on the right post. Tries to go up strong, has it swatted. Now he goes up again. And rebounded by the Hawks. Look to take the lead. Rourke on McCullough, draws a foul, can't get the shot to go down. But Brandon Rourke will go to the line to try to give the Hawks a lead for the second time today. Anakwe and Keith coming to the scorer's table after McCullough picks up the foul. It'll be Rourke to the line. He's got 2 points, but he's 0 for 2 from the line. And that one rims all the way around and out. Here come the subs. as Huppy and McCullough take a seat. 7:01 to play in the first half. 16 all between the Harmon Hawks and the St. James Academy Thunder. Rourke's second free throw, front iron, no good, but Carson with the offensive rebound. Zitnik takes it away. But before Colress could corral the loose ball, they'll instead call a tie-up and alternate possession, and that will send it to the Thunder. So it's Zitnik, Anakwe, Sam Keith, Zach Colress, and Mitch Whitman on the floor here at the start of the second period for the Thunder, all tied up at 16. Anakwe guarded by Juwan Wilson, finds Zitnik on the wing guarded by Rourke. Frankie one dribble to the left now, baseline. Anakwe against a smaller man. Tries to wrap it around underneath, can't get the roll though, and it's rebounded by Mike Carson. And it'll be Wilson who pushes the other way for the Hawks. Between the legs now to the free throw line. Leaves it behind for Hooks. Leaner, tough shot off the baseline, and a rebound hits the deck. Ming trying to save it in bounds. It goes into the bleachers, and it'll be turned over to the Thunder. So just over a minute and a half into this second period, just 2 points on the board so far. And sophomore Jawan Taylor checks back in for the Hawks, replacing Brendan Rourke. It'll be Zitnik to trigger the offense for the Thunder. 6:18 to play in the second quarter, all tied at 16. Colress now right wing, guarded by Rourke. Sees the screen from Sam Keith. There was space there for Colress if he wanted to take a shot. Instead, he hands off to Anakwe, who sees the Whitman screen. Now in traffic, leaves it underneath to Whitman. Whitman loses his balance. Now Colress trying to drive in for the rebound, but can't control it. And it'll go back over to the Hawks with 5:59 to play in the second quarter. Colress checks out and Huppy comes back in. It'll be Jawan Taylor greeted across the timeline by Anakwe. Taylor to the free throw line, on a bounce, leaves it to Wilson. Back to Taylor, driving into the paint, leaning, scores. Jawan Taylor with his first basket of the game. And the lead goes back over to the Hawks, 18-16. This is an 8-0 run for the Hawks, stretching back to late in the first quarter. Anakwe, right wing, guarded by Taylor. Wilson, rather. Pass tipped away. It'll stay at this end. It was Shane Hooks who reached in, knocked that one away. Whitman takes a seat, replaced by Devin Feist. 5:23 to play here in the first half, 18-16, Harmon with the lead. Anakwe, top of the circle, Sam Keith. Good cut by Anakwe, gets to the rim and lays it in. Nice find by Sam Keith, as Anakwe has his second bucket of the game, and we're tied again, 18 all. 3 lead changes, 4 ties here so far in the first half. Wilson to Taylor. High post, Carson tries to leave it underneath to Ming, but it was knocked away by Sam Keith, and now they're saying that one went off of Herman Ming. Good defense by Sam Keith to stay at home on that one. Thunder basketball as Brendan Rourke checks back into the game to replace Mike Carson after a brief breather. Some instruction here from the Thunder coaches before Tom Huppy walks it up across the timeline. 4:45 to play in the first half. 18 all. Our fourth tie of the game, rather. Huppy guarded by Hooks. Dribbling left, picks it up, now gives it to Zitnik. Trying to loft it inside to Anakwe. Tough pass, tough catch. And before that shot goes up, Jonathan Anakwe called for a travel. Looks like the officials were talking to each other a little bit about that before either made the signal, although both had blown the whistle. But the turnover gives it back to the Hawks. 4:25 to play in the quarter. In the hands of Jawan Taylor, guarded by Anakwe. Hands off to Wilson. Guarded by Anakwe. And now a deep three. Good. Jawan Wilson. Second basket of the game. He's got 5 points. Harmon back on top, 21-18. So an 11-2 run here to erase what was a 6-point deficit, and now on the right wing, it's going to be a foul on Juwan Wilson. His first, the third against the Harmon Hawks, and it'll be Sam Keith to inbound. It's Keith Feist, River Scott, Jonathan Anakwe, and Tom Huppy. The starting five on the floor for the Hawks. Hooks, Rourke, Taylor, Wilson, and Ming. Anakwe, pump fake, top of the circle. Now leaves it to River Scott on the left wing. He thought about a three, instead leaves it back to Anakwe. Jonathan driving in, spinning. Tried to lay that one off the glass, missed everything, and rebounded by Brandon Rourke. Now Wilson into the front court, drives into the paint, spins over Keith, lays it in. Juwan Wilson has scored twice in a row, and now a timeout. St. James with 3:28 to play in the quarter. And the Hawks enjoying their largest lead of the game, 23-18. So 30-second timeout here for Coach Mark Huppy. Good balanced effort so far for the Hawks, who've had 6 different players score. The Thunder have been led by 9 points from Connor McCullough, but Connor has not scored here in the second period. And just 2 points on the board here in this second quarter so far for the Thunder, who've been outscored 9-2 this period. Coach Dave Gonzalez of the Hawks and Coach Mike Huppy of the Thunder giving their teams instruction as they break the huddle. It'll be Thunder basketball trailing by 5, largest deficit of the night. So it's Keith inbounding to River Scott, and Scott will be picked up at the timeline by Juwan Taylor. 3:20 to play in the first half, 23-18. Harmon on top. Scott in the corner, screen. Now driving into the paint. He'll pull up, mid-range jumper. 10-footer goes down for River Scott, and it's 23-20. Scott with 4 points, trail by 3. Hooks right wing, goes around Huppy. Good defense by Devin Feist, and he's called for a foul. Looked like Devin Feist was able to reach in and just rip the ball away off the drive. But they call Devin, the senior, for a foul. That's the 6th against the Thunder. Rourke guarded by Feist. Hands it off to Hooks. Driving left now in the corner. Wilson off the screen, now picked up by Huppy. We've seen him pop from NBA range a couple times already. That's where he is now. He'll take another one. Juwan Wilson for 3. Back iron, no good. Rebound kept alive by the Hawks, but tapped out of bounds now. And it goes over to the Thunder. A couple substitutions as Mike Carson checks back in for the Hawks. And Jake Whitman makes his first appearance for the Thunder, who have the basketball, trailing by 3, 23-20, with 2:25 to play here in the first half. Scott breaks the timeline. Scott, corner 3, uncontested, knocks it down. River Scott with 2 buckets in a row. He ties it up at 23 at the 2:10 mark of the first half. Looked like the Hawks were set up in a zone there. River got the ball in the corner, and he wasn't really closed out on. Had plenty of time to line up that 3 and knock it down. Under 2 minutes now, driving. Hooks off the glass, puts it in. Shane Hooks with 5 points. And it's the Hawks back on top, 25-23. Scott's going to take another 3, this time left wing. That one rattled out, but an offensive rebound by Jake Whitman goes down on the putback. And Jake will go to the line. Foul went against Mike Carson. And Jake Whitman will have a chance to give the Thunder the lead back by completing a 3-point play. High arching free throw goes down for the big sophomore, Jake Whitman. 4th lead change of the game as the Thunder lead 26-25 with 1:35 to play in the first half. Rourke guarded by Zitnik. Crosses him over into the paint. Now trying to leave it behind for Wilson. Tough catch underneath, and it's off the glass and rebounded by Anakwe. Jonathan trying to push. Now finds Zitnik. Back to Jonathan. Lost it on the way up, but it'll stay at this end. Crowd doesn't like the call, but it'll stay at this end with 1:17 to play. Thunder leading 26-25. It's Anakwe, Zitnik, Huppy, Jake Whitman, and Sam Keith on the floor for the Thunder, looking to extend their winning streak to 5. Inbound to Jake Whitman. Anakwe now right wing guarded by Taylor. Zitnik, top of the circle. Sam Keith's waiting there for a screen. Now Sam backs off as we approach 1 minute to play here in the first half. 26-25 St. James. Low post, good position for Jake Whitman. Leaves it out for Anakwe's three instead. Back iron, no good. Rebounded by Wilson, who wants to push a little. Wilson lost the handles a little bit. Now Rourke, Brandon Rourke. Wilson thought about a three, instead drives. Now he leaves it for Taylor. Open three, right side, knocks it down. Jawan Taylor, all 5 of his points have come this quarter. Lead back to the Hawks, 28-26 with 30 seconds to play in the first half. Zitnik guarded closely by Hooks as we go under 30 seconds to play. Thunder have led by as many as 6. Hawks have led by 5. Whitman leaves it to Zitnik for what could be the last possession here of the half. 12 seconds now as Zitnik dribbles it uncontested. Now top of the circle, Anakwe, guarded by Wilson. Zitnik driving baseline. Bounce pass to Jake Whitman, and he lays it in. Great pass by Zitnik. And as the time expires at the end of the first half, we are all tied at 28. So 16 minutes in the book. St. James 28, Harmon 28. We'll be back after halftime for the second half. You're watching St. James basketball on kcteams.com. And KCK, we're just about ready to start the second half. The St. James Academy Thunder and the Harmon Hawks tied at 28. Leading scorers in the first half, freshman Connor McCullough for the Thunder with 9 points, River Scott with 7. And for the Hawks, it's Jawan Wilson with 7 and Herman Ming with 6. The Thunder have led by as many as 6. Largest lead for the Hawks has been 5. But we start the third quarter dead even at 28, and it's Hawks with the opening possession. Carson, low post, strong move. Off the glass, too strong, and rebounded by Jonathan Anakwe. It's the original starting 5 on the floor for the Thunder. Anakwe, Zitnik, River Scott, Sam Keith, and Connor McCullough. Right now it's Zitnik on the right wing. Keith waiting for him for a screen, and he leaves it left wing for River Scott. Low post, McCullough goes up, too strong, rebounded by Anakwe on the weak side. Jonathan backs it up to the three-point line, and now back into the paint for McCullough, who dribbles over his right shoulder, goes up, and is fouled. So McCullough not shy about going right back up after having his last shot partially deflected by Big Mike Carson. Carson charged with his second foul. First of the half. We're 34 seconds in. Connor McCullough to the line where he buries the first, and he's the first scorer in double digits. 6th lead change of the night. Thunder with a bucket in the closing seconds of the first half. Missed, but an offensive rebound by Keith. Kept it alive for Anakwe, who puts in his own miss. Anakwe with 6. The lead is 3, 31-28. So that rebound for Keith led to the 2 for Anakwe. Rourke's three-pointer, no good, rebounded by McCullough. And now quickly the other way, River Scott will dribble in for a 18-footer. Uncontested, but he misses, and it's rebounded by the Hawks. It's Jawan Taylor, who may have gotten away with taking an extra step as he put his hands on the ball. But the sophomore brings it into the half court as Rourke, given some space by McCullough, now leaves it back to Jawan Taylor. 6:42 to play in the third quarter, 31-28. Thunder on top. It's Rourke, Taylor, Hooks, Carson, and Wilson. Other way off of the steal. Anakwe quickly with 2 more. It's a 5-0 spurt here to start the third quarter. 30-second timeout as the Thunder extend the lead to 5. Coach Dave Gonzalez wants to talk to the Harmon Hawks about that one. It was an ill-advised pass from the left wing that Sam Keith easily intercepted. And it led to the breakaway points for Jonathan Anakwe. Live video back up and running here for you after some internet difficulties with our video feed in the first half. We apologize for that. But now the pictures and descriptions coming at you live here on kcteams.com. So the teams break the huddle at the 6:27 mark of the third quarter following that timeout. It'll be Hawks basketball. Taylor, Wilson, Hooks, Rourke, and Mike Carson on the floor for Harmon. Rourke baseline. Taylor's hit 1-3. Now he leaves it for Rourke. Back to Rourke for another left wing 3. This one's good. Brendan Rourke has 5 points, and it's 33-31 St. James as we go under 6 minutes to play here in the third quarter. 4 straight wins for St. James, who's 12-7 on the season. The Hawks of Harmon High School 12-5 in this week's Kansas Basketball Coaches Association poll. They are ranked 7th in Class 5A. Tough turnaround in the paint for Connor McCullough, no good, and it's rebounded by the Hawks. Taylor with a 3 from the right side, no good, and it's rebounded by Anakwe. Now Jonathan wants to push. No numbers, and he has it knocked away from behind. Now 4-on-1 for the Hawks. Lob up to Carson is too strong, and Sam Keith can't get the rebound, though, so it's Hawks basketball. Ends up back in the corner for Rourke, trying to hit his second 3 in a row. He does. And just like that, lead back to Harmon, 34-33. So 2 threes for Rourke. Have the Hawks back on top. Zitnik. Now looked like they'll reach in there. It looked like he signaled number 12 on the foul, but it was actually number 2, Brandon Rourke, who now has 2 personal fouls. And the only number 12 on the floor, Frankie Zitnik, inbounds from in front of the Thunder bench. Just over 3 minutes into the third quarter. Tough entry pass for Connor McCullough, but nice catch. Misses the first one, but Connor finishes the second time. And the Thunder back on top, 35-34. 12 points for McCullough to lead all scorers. Steal for Sam Keith. And now the big fella will leave it behind for Zitnik as the Thunder get into the half court. 4:25 to play here in the third quarter, 35-34. St. James with the lead. We were tied at 28 after the first half. A little back and forth action here in the third. After the Thunder scored the first 5, it was 6 in a row for the Hawks, and now a whistle away from the ball. This is going to be a foul on senior Herman Ming of the Hawks. His second and the third this half against Harmon. Huppy left all alone on the inbound, and Tom Huppy with an uncontested lay-in, and it's 37-34, approaching the halfway point of the third quarter. So again, the Thunder may be catching a little bit of stride here late in the season without their leading scorer, Clint McCullough, who's missed 4 games. Tough leaner goes down for Juwan Wilson, and a block called against the Thunder, so Wilson will go to the line for a chance to tie. Call goes against Sam Keith, who looked like he had pretty good position. And now Wilson, who's got 9 to lead the Hawks, has a chance to enter double figures and tie this game. 3:53 to play in the third quarter. Short on the free throw, strong rebound by Connor McCullough. So struggles from the line for Harmon, and it remains a 1-point lead for St. James. Anakwe patiently waiting to see if Connor McCullough can get in position. Now Jonathan gets the ball back on the wing. off of the screen from Keith. Now puts his shoulder down into the paint, draws a foul. And he will go to the line. So foul gets called against Shane Hooks, 6-foot senior guard for Harmon. They're going to rule that foul was on the floor. Another quick inbound to Huppy, uncontested for quick little touch shot, and Tom Huppy has 7 points, and it's 39-36. That's the second baseline inbound in a row where Huppy's been left alone and got an easy bucket. It's Wilson spinning around Scott. Carson, Rourke. Back to Wilson. Now Hooks just beyond the elbow. Jumper no good, rebound on the deck. And a 4-on-3 if the Thunder won it. And River Scott putting it behind his back, lost it. And now Hooks the other way. On a bounce to Wilson. Tries to leave it behind in traffic to Rourke, and it's taken right back by the Thunder. And River Scott will slow it up a bit. Just as I say that, he pushes it forward, now spinning. Off balance, off the glass, and he's called for a walk. So a little bit ragged there on a few possessions in a row each way. And some substitutions here as Zitnik and Feist check in for the Thunder with 2:39 left in the third quarter. Thunder with a 3-point lead, 39-36. So Rourke will walk it across the timeline. He's got Hooks, Wilson, Carson, and Ming with him. Crosses over his man, tried to leave it underneath for Ming, but the big fellow wasn't ready for it. And there's another Harmon turnover back to St. James. Huppy, Keith, Zitnik, Feist, and Anakwe for St. James. Sam Keith, top of the circle. Looking for some help. Huppy gives it to him. Now Feist, right wing. To Huppy, who almost lost it. And now back to the senior guard, Frankie Zitnik. Zitnik near the timeline. Now over on the right wing to Huppy. A little late trying to find Zitnik under the basket on the weak side, and the late delivery leads to a steal, and Wilson pulls it the other way. Hooks into the paint. Leaves it behind. Carson, 3. Rattles out. Rebound. Ming came over the back, and that's going to be the third foul on senior Herman Ming. Connor McCulloch checking back in with 1:44 to play in the third. Thunder with a 3-point lead as Sam Keith goes to the bench. Mike Carson, Jawan Taylor checking back in for Harmon as Sheldon Carson and Herman Ming hit the bench. It'll be Huppy, number 10 for the Thunder, guarded by another sophomore number 10 for Harmon. Taylor, Anakwe now off balance, harassed by Wilson, and he hits the floor after a hard foul. This time he will be shooting as Wilson picks up his second foul. So Anakwe with 8 points. Again, he's emerged as the number 1 scoring threat with Clint McCullough on the bench due to injury. Jonathan has delivered in a major way, short on that free throw. We saw Anakwe on Friday night with a rather heroic senior night effort. 34 points on a night when he was nagged by several injuries. Had to leave the game 3 times due to injury. Knocked down 3 free throws with less than a second left to force overtime. And eventually led the Thunder to a double overtime win over Hogan Prep. His second free throw makes it 40-36. 1:25 to play in the third quarter. Rourke with a drive in the paint, gets it to roll. Brandon Rourke with 10 points, 8 of them this quarter, and it's 40-38. We'll have to keep an eye on that matchup between Wilson and Anakwe. It looked like they might have been a little chippy after that last foul. And there they are right now at the top of the circle. Anakwe now double teamed by Taylor and Wilson. Jonathan turns and takes it right to the basket. He had it knocked away, thought he was fouled. No call, but it'll be Thunder basketball from the baseline with exactly a minute showing on the clock here in the third quarter. 40-38, St. James on top. We've had 8 lead changes. We've had 5 ties. Largest lead has been St. James, 16-10, a 6-point lead. 50 seconds to play in the quarter. Zitnik guarded by Taylor. Now Huppy with hooks on him. Anakwe, Feist, and Connor McCullough. Now Zitnik under the basket all alone has his first basket of the game. Frankie Zitnik off the nice find by Huppy, and now Anakwe in the backcourt with the steal. Zitnik with the floater. Good. 4 quick points for Frankie Zitnik. The lead is up to 6, matching the largest of the game. 20 seconds to play in the quarter. Quick burst there by St. James. Has the Thunder back on top. Now an off-balance jumper by Taylor, but he's fouled by Feist on the way up. So Feist in good position defensively there, forced kind of an off-balance, difficult shot there by the 5'7" sophomore Jawan Taylor. But with 13.6 on the clock, it will be Taylor to the line for a pair. 2 fouls on Devin Feist. 2 this half on the Thunder. Taylor's free throw is good. Keith checks in for Feist. 44-39, St. James with the lead. 13.6 seconds to play here in the quarter. Taylor has 6 points, looking for his 7th at the line here. A perfect 2 for 2 from the line. And now some backcourt pressure as Anakwe will bring it up, guarded by Taylor as we go under 10 seconds to play. Taylor with a little overplay. Now Zitnik, under 5 seconds, in the paint. Had that shot altered, and now a foul will send Anakwe back to the free throw line. .4 seconds left on the clock. As that foul goes against Wilson, his 3rd. And Jonathan Anakwe with a chance to stretch the lead back to 6. Strong effort here by the Thunder against a good Harmon Hawks squad. Anakwe's first free throw bounces out. Jonathan with 9 points. Second on the team to Connor McCullough's 12 this evening. Huppy with 7, Scott with 7. Give Jonathan 10 now. It's 45-40. Desperation heave, falls short. And we will go to the fourth quarter with St. James leading Harmon 45-40. You're watching Thunder basketball on KCTeams.com. Back at Harmon High School, getting ready for the start of the fourth quarter. St. James leading Harmon 45-40. We were tied at 28 at halftime. The Hawks, or the Thunder rather, with the first 5 of the third quarter to get out to a 5-point lead, and then 6 in a row from the Hawks gave the hosts a 1-point lead. We've had 8 lead changes. We've had 5 ties. And we begin the final 8 minutes with the Thunder on top by 5. Inbound to Anakwe, who shuffled his feet and is called for a walk. So Jonathan trying to attack the rim from the right side. Called for the violation. He's got 10 points. And it's Hooks who starts the offense for the Hawks. This is Jawan Taylor looking for help. Mike Carson, far away from the basket, turns Can't get the roll on that left-handed jumper, but it'll stay at this end after it rolls off the fingertips of Zitnik on the baseline. So just over 20 seconds into the fourth quarter, St. James with a 5-point lead. It's Taylor, Wilson, Hooks, Rourke, and Mike Carson on the floor for the Hawks. And it's the original starting five on the floor for the Thunder. Zitnik, Scott, Keith, McCullough, and Anakwe. Wilson on the drive. It was Anakwe who reached in. And I believe that call will go. It is against Jonathan Anakwe. First foul on Jonathan, third on the Thunder. Quick baseline jumper off of the inbound, no good by Hooks. Offensive board, though, by Carson. It leads to an open look for three, and Brandon Rourke knocks it down. He's got 13 to lead all scorers. 11 of those coming here in the second half, and it's 45-43. Scott around the screen, now Anakwe on the left wing. Sam Keith with the high screen. Jonathan into the paint. Leaves it for Sam Keith. Nice drop-off pass there by Anakwe. Leads to the first bucket of the night for Sam Keith. And the lead is back to 4. 47-43, 1 minute into the fourth quarter. Taylor hands it off to Wilson, who spins into the paint. Throws it up. Can't get the roll. Carson battling for the rebound. And a held ball called as Scott tied him up. It'll stay at this end of the floor. So River Scott ties up a much larger man, but it stays here with the Hawks with 6:50 to play in the ball game. Taylor to trigger the inbound. Lofts it towards Shane Hooks, who pulls up for three over Zitnik. Rattles out, but Taylor, smallest man on the floor, is underneath in the right spot for the offensive board. 6:40 to play in the fourth. 47-43, St. James on top. Deep three, Rourke now. That one short. Rebound tapped around and controlled by Anakwe. Jonathan briefly lost the handle there. Hands it off to Scott. Scott dribbling around Taylor. Now Zitnik on the right wing. Cleared out some space. It may have knocked Hooks down with that elbow. And now Zitnik all the way to the rim, but he can't finish. It was Hooks who hit the deck. And now the other way, Wilson with a pull-up three short. But Taylor there in the right place for the rebound again, and he's fouled. So Juwan Taylor, 5'7", twice has found himself in the right spot for an offensive board. In the meantime, senior Shane Hooks still trying to get his bearings straight after apparently taking an elbow to the nose while closely guarding Frankie Zitnik back on that last possession. But no foul called there, and Taylor back to the line. First free throw rattles out. The sophomore with 7 points. He's 2 of 3 from the line now. He'll have one more try here. The foul, by the way, was on Connor McCullough, who has 3. And now a 20-second timeout for the Hawks as Taylor's second free throw makes it 47-44. So 6:05 to play in the ballgame. Could be in for another tight finish here as the Thunder look to extend their winning streak to 5, looking for victory number 13 on the season. Heading toward what should be an exciting sub-state bracket that includes St. James and Topeka Hayden, who by many accounts is considered one of the favorites in 4A basketball this year. Hayden and St. James playing to an exciting overtime thriller in Topeka earlier this year, with Hayden coming out on top. Thunder hoping they'll get a chance to avenge that loss here when the calendar turns to March. Out of the timeout, it'll be Thunder basketball. 6:05 to play in the game. 47-44, St. James with a 3-point lead. It's Sam Keith, River, Scott, Frankie Zitnik, Connor McCullough, and Jonathan Anakwe, the original starting 5, still on the floor for St. James. Taylor, Rourke, Hooks, Wilson, and Mike Carson for Harmon. Under 6 minutes to play now. Anakwe guarded again closely by Wilson. Little clear out. All the way to the rim, gets it to go, and he's fouled. Jonathan Anakwe with a strong move. The bump came as he picked up his dribble. They count the basket, and I believe that's the 4th foul on Juwan Wilson. So Anakwe with 12 points. And he'll have a chance to match the Thunder's largest lead of the game with this free throw. He does just that. And with 5:45 to play, it's St. James 50, Harmon 44. Anakwe now tied with Brendan Rourke for game-high honors with 13 points. This is Wilson spinning into the paint. Good defense by Keith to hold his ground, but Wilson shows his strength by kissing that one off the glass after the contact, and it's back to a 4-point game. Wilson with 11 points. Strong effort from the 6-foot senior. Scott to Huppy, top of the circle. Good minutes from Huppy off the bench again. So he's got 7 points. Scott floater from the lane, too strong, rebounded by Rourke. 5:10 to play here in the fourth quarter. 50-46, St. James with the lead. Rourke out of control. Keith was waiting there for him, and Sam Keith, as we've seen many times this year, successful in drawing the charge. So Sam Keith, the football star, not afraid to step in and draw contact. That earns possession back for St. James as we go under 5 minutes to play. 50-46, St. James with the lead. Game went down to the wire last year in St. James. McCullough goes up strong, trying to draw the contact from Carson. Missed badly on the shot. Looked with a little disdain at the officials, hoping for a foul call. But it'll be Thunder basketball in front of the St. James bench with 4:51 to play. Scott to trigger the inbound, and he gets it back now from McCullough. Patience on offense here from St. James with a 4-point lead. Scott now off the drive. Keith guarded by Rourke. Now it ends up back on the right wing with River Scott. Scott backs out toward the timeline. Now dangerous pass is taken away by Rourke, who's uncontested at the rim, lays it in. 50-48 now as Brendan Rourke has 15 to lead all scorers. And now a timeout for the Thunder. With 4:18 to play in the fourth quarter, this is a full timeout. We will take a timeout as well. You're watching Thunder basketball on KCTeams.com. We have 4 minutes and 18 seconds left here in the fourth quarter. St. James 50, Harmon 48. Again, when these teams met last winter over in Lenexa, it was a 2-point victory for Harmon. The Thunder looking to exact some revenge here in 2011. It's Keith, Huppy, Scott, McCullough, and Anakwe on the floor in the face of some full court pressure. Now the deep pass to Huppy by Keith. The shot was altered. It still almost went down, and it's rebounded by Jawan Wilson. So a chance to tie or take the lead here. Rourke on the drive, leaves it for Wilson. On the bounce, baseline. Taylor, jumper, no good. Rourke up for the rebound. Carson gets that rebound, and he's fouled. Carson looked like he might have pushed off on McCullough a little to get that second chance. Foul went against Sam Keith, who's got 3. And to the line goes Mike Carson, who's 1 for 3 from the line. That one misses off the back iron, and he'll have one more chance just over halfway through the fourth quarter. 50-48, St. James with the lead. Carson with a deep breath before the second free throw. He's got 4 points. The lead is down to 1. 3:58 to play in the fourth quarter. St. James on top 50-49. Scott guarded by Taylor. Rivers Scott with 7 points. Now Huppy to McCullough. We've only seen Connor pull the trigger from outside once. Had a chance to think about a deep three there, but he passed up on the chance. Now he has it again. And now it's back in the hands of Rivers Scott. Taylor guarding Scott, 3:30 to play, 50-49, St. James on top. McCullough with the ball, baseline, tried to drive, well defended by Carson. Now Anakwe wiggles free, he's fouled, and he gets the bucket to go down. Jonathan Anakwe hammered by Hooks as he tried to make up ground, but Anakwe finished anyways. Jonathan with 15 points. Lead is 3, and one more coming from the line for the senior. So it's the second foul against Shane Hooks. Anakwe looking for point number 16. He's got it. The lead is back to 4, 53-49, 3:20 to play. It's Taylor dribbling it across the timeline. He's got Rourke, Wilson. Now Rourke left wing, 3, short. Rebound on the deck. Anakwe took out the feet of Hooks as he dove for the ball. Friendly pat on the rear to show no intent there. The foul on Anakwe is his third, the 6th against the Thunder, so the next will send the Hawks to the free throw line. Little zone look here. And now Taylor on the drive, has it go off of his leg. Kind of a triangle and 2 defense look there for St. James. And under 3 minutes to play now, Thunder basketball with a 4-point lead. It's Huppy guarded by Taylor, now in the hands of the steady senior Rivers Scott. McCullough trying hard for position. Anakwe, though, drives instead, leaves it on a bounce for Scott, who will pull it back out near the timeline as we approach 2.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. St. James content to be patient on offense with this 4-point lead. We do go under the 2.5 minute mark now. It's Scott, now Keith. Back to Scott. Scott dribbles around a double team. Now he'll back it out again. McCullough low post. Out to Keith. Keith guarded by Rourke. Now Huppy in the paint. Leaves it to McCullough. Back to Sam Keith. Patient offense continues. Sam Keith gets around his man. Now on a bounce to McCullough, but he loses it. Tough bounce pass for Keith. McCullough wasn't ready for it. And a turnover there after a lengthy offensive possession. Now Taylor with an open 3 from the corner. Short. Rebounded by Anakwe with 1:50 to play. Thunder on top by 4. Double bonus for the next foul. But before any whistle on the floor, Coach Mark Huppy calls a timeout to talk about it. It'll be a full timeout with 1:45 to play. We'll step aside as well. St. James 53, Harmon 49. You're watching Thunder basketball on KCTeams.com. Back at J.C. Harmon High School, 1:45 to play in the fourth quarter. St. James leading Harmon 53-49, and it's Thunder basketball. They will inbound from right around midcourt. Jonathan Anakwe, the senior, with 16 points. Connor McCullough with 12. Huppy and Scott with 7 apiece. Leading the way for the Hawks, Brendan Rourke with 15. Juwan Wilson with 11. And a turnover on the inbound. Wilson goes right to the rim and lays it in. Juwan Wilson cuts the lead in half. So a quick turnover, quick timeout. And another full timeout. This one called by Hawks coach Dave Gonzalez. So Wilson has 13 points. It's 53-51. We'll step aside for a moment. You're watching Thunder Basketball on KCTeams.com. One minute, 38 seconds left in the fourth quarter. St. James 53, Harmon 51. It'll be Thunder basketball coming out of the timeout. Out of that last timeout, some trouble inbounding the ball for St. James led to a turnover and an easy bucket for Juwan Wilson. And full court pressure being set up here. Little 2-2-1 zone press as Scott waits for the trap to come, gives it to Keith. Now back to Scott. Keith lofts it ahead to Anakwe, and the Thunder break the pressure. Through the double team goes Anakwe. 1:20 to play here in the fourth quarter. 2-point lead for St. James. We'll see how long the Hawks wait before they try to really gamble for a steal or give a foul. Looked like Rourke tried to give one there, and none was called. Now Scott almost lets the double team come to him. Ball's almost knocked away. Now we go under a minute to play. 53-51 St. James. Anakwe dribbling out near the timeline, guarded by Hooks. The Hawks defense is going to have to do something. .45 seconds. Scott gets one man in the air. Now Zitnik dribbles all the way past the baseline, and he's fouled by Jawan Taylor. So Zitnik got around his man, could have risen up at the rim, but instead of taking a chance of missing the contested shot, Frankie dribbled it back out. A couple more seconds ticked off the clock, and now Frankie to the line for a pair, as it is double bonus time. The foul was the first on sophomore Jawan Taylor. So Frankie with 4 points. First free throw is pure. 3-point lead, 54-51. One more free throw for Frankie would make this a 2-possession game with 39 seconds left. Ten team fouls against the Hawks, 6 against the Thunder. Possession arrow in the favor of St. James, and the second perfect free throw for Frankie Zitnik makes it a 4-point game, 55-51, as Taylor brings it across. Rourke will take a three from the left wing. Back iron, no good. High rebound for Anakwe, and he pushes it into the front court. Hands it off to Scott now, who's fouled with 24 seconds left. And River Scott will now shoot two. Thunder starting to taste their fifth straight victory, looking for number 13 on the season. Scott has not been to the line tonight. He scored 7 points. And his first free throw is point number 8, and it's 56-51. So even if he makes this, it'll be a 2-possession game. It is short and rebounded by Carson. Quickly the other way, Rourke faked the handoff. Now he does hand it off to Hooks. Tough baseline jump shot. No good. Anakwe with another tough rebound with 15 seconds left. Wilson hacked him on purpose. Now Wilson's going to come after him again. Anakwe passes it off to Sam Keith as time expires on the Harmon Hawks. And the St. James Thunder have a 5-game winning streak. This one's in the books, 56-51. Leading scorer, Jonathan Anakwe with 16. Connor McCullough with 12. Rivers Scott with 8. Tom Huppy with 7. The Thunder improve to 13-7. The Hawks fall to 12-6. Once again, final score from Harmon High School. St. James 56, Harmon 51. You've been watching St. James Thunder basketball on KCTeams.com.